Coming up next, we're going to go behind the top 10 songs of this very same week from the year 1976, 45 years ago. And then we're going to re-rank them based on how many times they've been streamed and viewed since then. And we continue to share your memories, your dedications, plus artist commentary on the songs. It's the Hit Song Redux. Can you guess what the new number one song is based on all-time performance? Could it be Heart? Might be Chicago? Maybe the Bee Gees? Let's find out right now. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Make sure that you subscribe below right now to be a part of our Music History Daily straight from the artists. Make sure to click the bell so you never miss out. And do take a look at our exclusive content and so much more on Patreon by clicking on the link in the description. You can also see our new merch like our Vintage Years collection. You can get a new hoodie there as well with winter coming. Both these things help us to keep this a daily channel. It's really important. I love it. It's time for another edition of our show, the Hit Song Redux. This is where we travel back to a week in the golden era of the rock and roll era, and we re-rank the top 10 songs of that specific week based on their legacy since their peak position on the Billboard Hot 100. Now, we continue to showcase your stories and dedications that you've shared before. This show is our virtual keepsake. It's dedicated to the great Casey Kasem and his American Top 40. Now, this time we're going to travel back to the last week in October of 1976. And make sure to check out our playlist below where you can listen to the full songs as we move along or after. So let's get into the potency of this nostalgia as we start with the top movies at the box office for this week in 76. Those were Stephen King's Carrie.
You have a date with Carrie.
Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman. Burnt Offerings with Betty Davis. I can't remember that one. And the top TV shows were Happy Days. Laverne and Shirley, MASH, and The $6 Million Man. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, it's a scorching rock hit from two sisters who had just broken through the top 40 hit Crazy on You. It's Ann and Nancy Wilson of the band Heart with Magic Man.
He's a magic man, Mama.
The Magic Man is none other than lead singer Ann Wilson's then boyfriend Mike Fisher, who was also the group's guitarist at the time. So here's what Ann Wilson said about the song.
Cold rain nights so long ago.
Magic Man, again, was a love song. One of the first ones that I ever wrote. Because it was the first time I'd been in love. Pure and simple. Just like I'm being taken over. Like the Muse song Madness, you know. This is madness, this is magic, you know. It's all emanating from this man. What you don't realize when you're in that kind of love is that it was already there to begin with.
Right.
This person just helps you bring it out.
Come on home, girl, he said with a smile.
The song has continued to rock through the years since. It's garnered 58 million streams for YouTube and Spotify, a classic rock staple.
Mama says she's worried, growing up in a hurry.
It's beloved by our viewers who had a lot to say about this hit. Viewer Lisa Morrison shares that Magic Man brings me back to my early teen years. I saw them on the Midnight Special. I heard them on the radio. By the time Dreamboat Annie came out, I was hooked. I've been rocking the Heart ever since. Such a great band. I agree.
Try to understand. Try to understand.
We had another viewer, Beth Shadid. Hope I said that last name right. She wants to dedicate this song to her older sister, Diane. May she rest in peace. Beth shared that her sister, Diane, was the catalyst for her and music. She introduced her to this album and this song when she was very little.
He's a magic man. Yeah.
So coming at the number 9 position, we have a duo that for a few years had some of the biggest hits of that time. It's Captain and Tennille with a remake of a song that the band America had released just a few years before. It's called Muskrat Love.
Looks like Muskrat Love.
This song is about a romantic liaison between some muskrats named Susie and Sam. Very interesting. It was originally called the Muskrat Candlelight. It's a reference to the song's opening lyric.
Muskrat, muskrat, candlelight.
It would eventually peak at number 4 for the duo.
And a whirl and a twirl and a tango.
Another interesting fact about this song, Captain and Tennille decided to perform it at a White House dinner honoring Queen Elizabeth II in 1976. At that time, the media ran a statement from a dinner guest who shared that it was in very poor taste to sing of mating muskrats before the Queen.
Puzzle now, anything goes as they wrinkle.
So Tony Tennille responded to this headline, or to this person, by saying, only a person with a dirty mind would see something wrong. It's a gentle, Disney-esque kind of song. Man, the 70s. What a time, huh? Muskrat Love has had about 8 million streams since its heyday. So coming in at number 8, you have a song that became a staple of the disco era and has kept its grooviness since then, with almost 300 million plays. It was also covered by Vanilla Ice. I'm talking about Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry. Wild Cherry actually started as a hard rock band, if you could believe it. They had a standing gig at the 2001 club, and with disco at its peak, that didn't go very well. I actually had a chance to interview Wild Cherry guitarist Brian Bassett, who told me about this.
The song is autobiographical. We were a rock band playing in Pittsburgh, tri-state area, and that's when there was this giant club we used to play called 2001, which was a futuristic name at the time, right? It was 76, the 2001 club, ooh, the future. And but it was a big lighted dance floor discotheque, huge, and we're playing Foghat, Robin Trower, Led Zeppelin, that's the songs we were playing, and you could hear crickets, and then they'd put KC on, and the dance floor would cram out. So someone actually said that to our drummer one night, you better play some funky music, white boy.
The single did hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 earlier in the year. I think it was in September. It was number 1 on the Hot Soul Singles chart as well. Sold an amazing 2.5 million copies of the single in the U.S. alone. The song was actually listed at number 93 on Billboard magazine's all-time top 100 songs in 2018, the list that came out at that time. So coming in at number 7, it's the duo that cannot be stopped. It broke out in the 70s. They helped define the 80s. They got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they become one of the go-tos for young hipsters. Talking about Daryl Hall and John Oates with the heartbreaking She's Gone. So this song was released a couple of times before it broke out. I had a chance to interview John Oates, and he had plenty to say about it.
She never showed up. And that's when I sat at the couch and just picked up an acoustic guitar and began to sing this little folky kind of thing. It was almost like a, kind of just a little, and she's gone, and she's gone, And Daryl got back eventually, day or so afterwards, wherever he was, and I played it for him. He sat down at the piano and played that riff that you hear on the piano, and we wrote the song. I mean, we literally wrote it in an hour and a half.
So our viewer, Jerry Wells, shares a memory about She's Gone. He remembers riding with his dad to town in his 1980 Dodge stepside truck, and that his dad had a K-Tel compilation 8-track with She's Gone on it. He would always ask him to fast forward to this particular song. He said that in retrospect that She's Gone seemed to perfectly match those hot Mississippi summer evenings. Great memories. Yeah, I like that one.
She's gone.
As we go into the number 6 spot, we want to give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Now, as you know, I've worn Zenni's for a while, and I can tell you that they are number 1 in my mind. Right now, Zenni has brand new styles for the season. That's at zenni.com, where you can turn any frame that you like into sunglasses. You ought to go take a look. You're really going to love it. So at number 6, we have the Brothers Gibb with a song that you may not remember right off the bat. I mean, they've had so many hits that this one often gets overlooked. It's the Bee Gees with Love So Right. Written by all 3 members, Barry, Robin, and Morris. It was their first hit after You Should Be Dancing to feature Barry Gibb's falsetto exclusively for lead vocals. It was a warning shot of what was to come with Saturday Night Fever, and that was just around the corner. Love So Right peaked at number 3 on the Hot 100 and the AC charts. It's kind of a Bee Gees hidden gem that when you hear it, you'll remember it. So halfway to number 1 at the 5 slot is one of those songs that is very much a product of its time by a man who combined disco and classical music, but he also wrote some of the biggest TV and movie themes out there. It's Walter Murphy and the Big Apple Band with A Fifth of Beethoven that went to number 1 for 1 week, and it was later included on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, to mention it again. Of course, the song is a classic rendition of Beethoven's famous Symphony No. 5, particularly its famous first movement. Now, Walter Murphy was an orchestral leader who studied classical and jazz music piano at the Manhattan School of Music. He was also the arranger for Doc Severinsen and The Tonight Show Orchestra. Amazingly, Walter Murphy played nearly every instrument on the song, but was forced to credit it to an imaginary ensemble. He also did the music for a lot of major shows. There was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Commish, and Wise Guy, to name a few. He also did a lot of Seth MacFarlane's shows like Family Guy and American Dad, and the movies Ted and Ted 2. The song has been streamed about 21 million times since its peak. Coming in at number 4, it's one of the most haunting songs of the entire decade. It's a personal favorite of mine from one of the most compelling voices of his time, Canada's favorite son, Gordon Lightfoot, with The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
1,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty.
This song is a factual retelling of a shipwreck on Lake Superior that happened in November of '75 that claimed the lives of 29 crew members.
To be chewed when the gales of November came early.
It was on the fateful day of November 10th, 1975. The SS Edmund Fitzgerald broke in half and it sunk in Lake Superior. The storm that caused the wreckage had reported winds from 35 to 52 knots and waves that were between 10 and 40 feet high, causing the death of those 29 people.
The American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin.
Man, this song is incredible. It's one of those songs that you just get into bed and you pull the covers over you and you listen on a great pair of headphones, and you just get lost in the eerie, hypnotizing luster of the musical ambiance and haunting timbre of Lightfoot's breathtaking baritone.
When afternoon came, it was freezing rain.
It's quite an experience. This is one that we're definitely going to have to cover in more depth. I'll see if I can get Gordon Lightfoot. It'd be great to do an interview with him. It should have been a number 1 hit. It was stopped at number 2 for 2 weeks. It was behind Rod Stewart's huge song, Tonight's the Night.
Tonight's the night.
It was his second most successful single, Gordon Lightfoot's behind Sundown.
Sundown, you better take care.
For any consolation, it went to number 1 on the Cashbox chart, and it's been streamed almost 120 million times since then.
29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald.
So coming in at the number 3 position is a great one from a classic rocker that stands his ground. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Steve Miller, who seems like one of the good guys. He has the hit Rockin' Me at number 3. This is where Steve Miller tells a story about a guy who's down on his luck, trying to convince his girl that it will all work out in the end. He's a smooth talker who gets around, from Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma. But he swears that all of his travels are so that he can be with his baby. So Steve Miller has proudly acknowledged that the intro to this song, it was a tip of the hat to the band Free's classic song, All Right Now. He said, and I quote, "Yeah, it's a tack on the wall for Paul Kossoff. I went to London and played with Pink Floyd. It was a big, huge outdoor show, so we needed a big rock and roll number that was really going to excite everybody. I had thought about the gig, and I knew the way it was going to work was I was going to play just before Pink Floyd. The sun would be going down. It would be really cold. There wouldn't be any lights on the stage. It would be a lousy, lousy time. I went, I'm going to kick those guys in the butt. So what I did was I wrote Rockin' Me as a song to play at a festival to just get it going." End of quote. Rockin' Me is it's just one of those feel-good songs that will live on classic rock radio forever. So our viewer, screen name Badger Pa, said that Rockin' Me was a song that his girlfriend loved. Apparently they went to see Steve Miller at Summerfest. He said that was in 82, and then he saw him again at Green Bay in 92, 10-year stretch there. Now they broke up after that, but he said it was still a great time until it ended. He says, "Enjoy the up and keep moving forward in the lows. The lows help you to enjoy the highs in life." It's a good call. Now at the number 2 slot, we have a song that's been called one of the worst songs of all time. One of the defining novelty songs of the rock era for sure, cashing in on the fad of the times. It's Disco Duck Part 1 by Rick Dees and his cast of idiots. Now, Rick Dees was a DJ at WMPS AM in Memphis when he recorded this song, a parody of the disco craze that was peaking at that moment. Disco Duck got some attention in the southern states, so Rick Dees decided to pitch it to the major labels. Now, the song blew up, but Dees wasn't allowed to play it on the air because station management feared that it would violate FCC conflict of interest rules. Amazingly, on October 11, 1976, Rick Dees was fired from WMPS AM for mentioning the song on the show. Coincidentally, it reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 a mere 5 days later. Rick Dees was fine. He joined rival station WHBQ AM, where he was able to play Disco Duck all the time, apparently. Everyone remembers Rick Dees. I mean, he took over the American Top 40 when Casey Kasem hung it up, and he left to do Casey's Top 40. I remember hearing this song as a kid, and I just assumed that Disney had made it because the duck sounded so much like Donald Duck.
To try my luck.
Why look?
Now, there was some speculation that Clarence Nash, who actually voiced Donald Duck, sang on this song. But Disney has said it is not true at all. Now, the song has been streamed over 70 million times since topping the charts, amazingly, presumably out of curiosity from the many worst songs of all time lists that it has topped. What do you remember about this song? Let us know in the comments. Be a fun discussion. Well, we're about to unveil the number one song from the last week of October 1976, 45 years ago. It's a song by a band that is the ultimate love song band. They have so many hits, you can't play them all in concert. This was their first number one hit. It's one that has certainly stood the test of time. I'm, of course, talking about Chicago with If You Leave Me Now. This was the first Chicago single to feature an acoustic guitar lead. It's actually played by the band's manager, James William Guercio, who produced the track. James is an accomplished musician who had previously toured with the Beach Boys as a bass player. So he ended up playing on the acoustic guitar on the demo. He believed that the great Terry Kath would put down the proper track, in the future when they put down the real thing. How could we let it slip away? Well, the band thought that Guercio's part sounded so great that they decided to leave it on the record. This song would be a catalyst that would actually change Chicago as a band, as James Pankow said in an interview, and I quote, "With the enormous success of If You Leave Me Now, radio decided that was Chicago's sound on radio." He went on to say, "I can't tell you how many attempts that we have made at pushing up-tempo songs to get on records, and fans would go, they'd come up to us and say, 'What happened to you guys? You guys have sold out.'" We heard that so many times, and our answer to that was, well, we actually became victims of the success of one type of song that was embraced by mass media as our sound. End of quote. Yeah, after that, Peter Cetera, as the frequent lead, would sing numerous love songs into the top 10 charts, including You're the Inspiration, Love Me Tomorrow, Hard Habit to Break, phenomenal song. And Hard for Me to Say I'm Sorry, before going solo. Now, many viewers shared their memories of this truly beautiful song. Screen name Flavolinator, I hope I said that right. He said, "If You Leave Me Now by Chicago was one of the staple slow dance songs in junior high. It was our chance to dance with the one that we were attracted to. Unfortunately, I was a dork who wore glasses back in the day and still do, so that didn't happen for me until the very last school dance. I know how you feel. I'm a dork that wears glasses too." Now, viewer Christy Hubbard said, and I quote, "If You Leave Me Now by Chicago has an interesting memory for me. Let's just say it involves Panama City Beach in 1989, an acoustic guitar, and a sweet guy back in the day who had a crush on me our 9th and 10th grade years in high school. Ah, memories are a thing to treasure forever." So after counting down the exact charts from the last week of October, the year 1976, here's a new top 5 based on how these songs have performed since their peak. At number 5, you got Rockin' Me Baby by Steve Miller with 77 million streams. Coming at number 4, She's Gone by Daryl Hall and John Oates with 90 million. At number 3, the haunting opus, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot with 117 million. At number 2, it's Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry with 172 million. And the number one song for this week based on all-time streams, there's no change. It's Chicago with If You Leave Me Now with an amazing 302 million streams. Now, how would you rank these songs? Let us know in the comments. It's been a fun trip back to the year 1976, the year I was born. Share your memories of these songs. Are you a 76er as well? Let me know in the comments. What other weeks should we do on here when we do a vintage years collection concept for 76? Who do you think we should include? Tell us below. If we didn't get to your dedication or your memory, we will. Share it with us in the comments, and going forward, look for that. Now, if you like our content, we do invite you to subscribe to this channel, to this community. We invite you to check out our Patreon and our merch. I know I bring that up a lot, but I tell you, it really does help us to keep this channel daily. Our whole goal is to keep the music alive. That's what we do. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. We'll see you soon.